Hello, my name is Chris, and welcome to XK Tech Reviews. Today we're going to do a brief overview of DriveImage XML version 2.50 from Runtime Software, and how it works in conjunction with Windows Task Scheduler to create an automatic backup system for your main operating system drive or pretty much any partition on your computer. So let's get started. So a little while back, I bought 4 solid-state drives and put them in a RAID 0 array on my computer. If you want to see more about that project, look at the video right up there somewhere. But anyway, as you probably know, a RAID 0 array is not the safest array for data storage. If one of those 4 drives goes out, then I'm going to lose all of my data. So I needed a way to back up my disks. I came across DriveImage XML somewhere on the interwebs, and I decided to give it a shot. So as you can see, it is a very small download. It is 1.78 megabytes. The private edition is free and that you can use for personal use. Commercial edition you do have to pay for. I couldn't find pricing on their website. It requires a Pentium processor with 256 megabytes of RAM. Wow. So if your computer was built in the last 2 decades, it'll work. Windows XP, 2003, Vista, Windows 7, or Windows 8, and Windows 10, because I am using Windows 10 Professional as my main operating system. So once you download the program, this is what you're going to see. Welcome to Runtime's DriveImage XML. So as you can see, they give you a little welcome page here. The main thing that I was concerned about is this Microsoft Volume Shadow Services, or VSS. That allows you to create a backup of a drive that is in use, including your operating system disk and the disk that DriveImage is installed on. So as you can see, there's a few different tabs down here. Backup allows you to create an immediate backup of a disk. Restore allows you to restore from a previous backup that you have made. Drive to drive allows you to clone from one drive to another, and browse allows you to open up that XML file that is generated and browse through those files and folders that were backed up as if you're looking at them in Windows Explorer. So we're going to go ahead and cancel that, because what we are going to be looking at today is the Task Scheduler option up here under Tools. So click on Task Scheduler, and this is what we see. Now, as you can see, it says program the Windows Task Scheduler, and that's a hyperlink. So go ahead and click on that, and it's going to open up Windows Task Scheduler here. So what we are going to do, I know this may look a little daunting if you've never used this before, but it's not all that complicated. So go ahead and go over under Actions on the right-hand side and click Create Task. So that's going to bring up this Create Task dialog box. Now we're going to go ahead and name this. We're going to call it Weekly Backup. And if you want to, you can give it a description so that you remember exactly what you're doing here. I'm going to call it Wednesday. Yeah, I spell it that way. Wednesday's backup file, or rather process. It doesn't really matter what you type here. This is just for your own benefit. Down here at the bottom, run only when user is logged on. If you're the only user on the computer, then you don't really have to worry about all this. If you do have other users, then check this run whether user is logged on or not, and it'll run the backup process in the background when somebody else is logged onto the computer. Run with the highest privileges, because this does pop up a little user account control box when you first open up DriveImage. And finally, configure for whatever operating system you're using, in my case, Windows 10. Now we're going to tab over to the Triggers tab here and click New. Now the trigger is what actually starts this scheduled task. So we want to start it on a schedule. And in my case, I'm going to start it weekly on Wednesday. And I'm going to start it this coming Wednesday, which happens to be the 6th at 11 p.m. Zero all these. You can synchronize it across time zones if you're somebody who carries your computer across the country. You can set it to expire at some point in the future if you want it to. And make sure this little enabled box is checked. Now, I'm going to actually set up 2 of these, as I'll explain later, one on Sunday and one on Wednesday, but I'm going to do them separately. So I'm just going to pick one day and Wednesday. Okay. Now we're going to go over to Actions and create a new action. Now the action is actually what Windows Task Scheduler uses as its what am I doing function. So go to Browse, and you're going to go to your computer, go to local disk C, most likely. Program files times 86. Scroll down to runtime software, DriveImage XML, and you will find the program in here. It is called DiXML.exe. Double click on that, and that inserts it into the program or script to run. So now we've told Windows that it needs to run this script on Wednesdays at 11 p.m., but I also need to add some arguments, and that's given in this example over here on the left. So you see that BFT, all those slashes right there. So what we want it to do is create a new backup. So /B, and that tells the program to back up. And then we want to tell it what drive we want it to back up. In my case, I want it to back up drive C. So do a /B, capital C. So that's the extent of the command line for the backup. And now we want to tell it where we want it to store our backup. So /T for 2, and we're going to store it in my case. Now I found the easiest way to do this is actually to browse to it in the File Explorer. I'm going to store it in drive E in a folder called Weekly Backups. Then you can just paste it in here, Weekly Backups, and close the quotation marks. Finally, you're going to want to do /V as in Victor for volume shadowing services. That way it'll try that first and it won't even go through the trouble of trying to lock your hard disk drive, which you don't want it to do if it's an operating system disk. So now that we've finished all that, you can go through there, B, C, T to E, and weekly backups and that kind of stuff. Now this drive path will be unique to your computer, of course. It just depends on where you want to back up your files to. I'll go ahead and click OK. And now let's review this real quick. I've called it weekly backup. I'm going to call it number 2. And it's Wednesday's backup process. That's just my description. Pick whether you're your own user or you're somebody else is using your computer. Run with highest privileges. Configure for whatever Windows you're using. The trigger is going to be weekly in my case at 11 p.m. every Wednesday, starting this coming Wednesday, and it is enabled. That's important. You don't want it to be disabled because then it won't work. And finally, the Actions tab. It's going to start a program. What program? This program right here, and then it has the commands that it's going to run. So then we're going to click OK. In my case, I'm going to click cancel because I've already made this, and there you go, weekly backup. Now, as you see, I do have 2 weekly backups. Now, my logic here is I have a RAID 0 array and 2 internal 2 terabyte hard drives in my computer. Every Sunday, I will create a backup from my RAID 0 array to one hard drive, and every Wednesday, I'll create a backup of my array to the other hard drive. That way, if something goes wrong during the backup process, if for whatever weird and strange reason my RAID array decides to fail during a backup, then I will always have the other backup on the other hard drive just in case. And if one of my hard drives decides to die, then I'm not going to lose my backup. So there you go. That is a review of DriveImage XML and Windows Task Scheduler. If you have any comments or questions, then leave them in the comments box below. If you liked what we did with this video, then click the like button. And if you want to see more like this, then consider subscribing to our channels. My name is Chris, this is XK Tech Reviews, and thanks for watching.